Entering the 1988 playoff matchup, the NHL quarterfinals between Boston and Montreal, we thought it was going to be the same old stories. Boston got past Buffalo in the first round. Montreal, after winning the first three games, a series against Hartford, was extended by the Whalers to 6 games. But the opening game of the series, and it was hampered somewhat by a massive power outage in Quebec that not all the province could see the game. So in a lot of people's mind, it was boding well for Montreal in the series because he won 5-2 on some big counters by Richer. Now, it was a pick'em series because Montreal ended the season with 45, 22, and 13 record, and Boston went 44, 30, and 6. But the defensive style that Boston played and the great goaltending, of course, by Reggie Lemelin really did Montreal in. Montreal lost 4 straight games, only scoring 5 goals in the last 4 games. Boston nipped out a 4-3 victory in Game 2 in Montreal, won 3-1 and 2-0 at home against the Habs, and then came back to Montreal, winning 4-1 to wrap up the series. And, of course, the famous Lemelin double pump. Now, you wouldn't think that Cam Neely would have played the part he did in the series. He only had 3 goals, but actually, for a lot of people, the key skater was Bob Sweeney. He took some really, really tough hits, was very aggressive, and led the team in scoring with 4 points. Now, Gord Kluzak had a good series with 2 goals and assists, as did Steve Casper, Randy Burge, and, of course, Ray Bourque was strong on either side. Now, for a lot of people, this was the last gasp for the great Rick Milton. He eventually helped Boston get into the final. But like I said, a very balanced team. Boston that year, they had Kenny Linsman, Keith Crowder, Willie Plett, who, again, wasn't scared, and the very rugged Lyndon Byers. Craig Janney was there as well, and, of course, the leftover, Jay Miller. Now, Lemelin played 4 games, winning all 4. Now, Andy Moog lost the opening game, and for a lot of people, the big change is when Boston decided to keep Lemelin between the pipes for the last 4 games of the season, four games of the playoffs. Now, this campaign really, really hurt Montreal. Stéphane Richer missed the last 3 games of the series after his opening goal in Game 1. Of all players, John Cordick led Montreal in scoring with 2 goals and 2 assists for 4 points in 5 games. Now he's being played on right wing. Now, a lot of the holdovers from the 86 Cup team were still there, including McPhee, Scourgelin, Lemieux, Chelios, Robinson, Carbonneau, Sabota, Bobby Smith, Richer, Green, Ryan Walter, Mike Lawler, Ludwig, and Naslin. But again, they couldn't do enough. And like I said, ladies and gentlemen, Montreal was ready to be picked at the time. 87, he made it as far as the semifinals, but the 86, celebratory style that led them to overachieve in 86 and 87 wasn't there. It was just Boston time. Now, Boston got as far as the Stanley Cup final, bet New Jersey in the famous Jim Schoenfeld series, like the Have Another Donut series, but lost to Edmonton in the final. So Boston overachieved. Now, what's kind of ironic, ladies and gentlemen, let's look at this. When was the last time you think Boston bet Montreal in the playoffs before this series? Well, you're going to be shocked about this. Entering the final, this was the 23rd playoff series between the Bruins and the Habs. Montreal led 20-2 in previous playoff series meetings. Now, it was Boston's first playoff series victory against Montreal since the 1943 Stanley Cup semifinals. Boston had lost the previous 18 playoff series between these two teams, an NHL record for most consecutive playoff series defeats to one team. Now, ironically, Sports Illustrated had done an article about that losing and mentioning all the players named Jean Guy that broke the team, and I think that broke the camel's back. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's the story about Boston's successful 88 playoff run against Montreal. If you like what you're doing, give us a like, comment, subscribe.